Final Fantasy XIV's Dawntrail expansion has been getting a little bit of a mixed reception. Overall, I quite enjoyed my time with it so far, but I've enjoyed the second half of the story much more than the first. Basically, in the first half, you're following this new character around, Wuk Lamat, and she's in a competition to complete 6 trials, find the Golden City, all to become queen.
That's right.
Problem is, she's not the best written character in Final Fantasy XIV. It feels like we're doing all the work for her.
I wouldn't have come this far without you as allies.
And she's written a little bit like a child. And it seems a lot of people feel the same way. And they have voiced their opinions in reviews or even in-game chat while I was playing. And there was quite a lot of people literally spitting on this character. I found myself a little frustrated at some of the things she says. Like, there's a moment where Wuk Lamat and her brother complete one of the trials, and she's genuinely surprised that her brother has no time to celebrate their victory and he's off to complete the next trial.
Not even a moment of celebration.
And it's a little frustrating. She should be trying her best to complete the trials as soon as possible, and I feel like she doesn't deserve to win with such a lax attitude.
It's fine.
And it kind of feels like we're doing the majority of the work for her.
And what should she be rewarded for? Calling upon her minions to carry her to victory!
And if anyone questions this, she'll give a speech about the power of friendship.
With friendship and community.
So in an act of petty revenge, I made her clear all the trash in dungeons while I stuffed my face. Man, the power of friendship is great indeed. Oh fuck! Lots of little references to Final Fantasy IX this time, and a bit of Final Fantasy XI as well. I was a huge fan of Final Fantasy XI in its prime. Treasures of Aturgan was a great expansion pack, and I was getting similar vibes going into Dawntrail, especially with the return of the Mammal Jar and trolls that originated in that Treasures of Aturgan expansion. I really liked seeing these races again. Pretty much all of the Scions returned from that original Final Fantasy XIV story, and while we've officially closed that original story, I think Dawntrail might have been better off with less of these Scions in the story, and if we focused more on the new characters. Obviously keeping characters like Kryl, I genuinely wanted to see her reunited with her grandfather. Quickie, trying to grow the channel, cover RPGs, and I'm also running this series where I go through each Final Fantasy every month, then I rank them as I go. If you consider subbing or liking the video, it's an amazing help, thank you.
Find the City of Gold.
So first half of the story is learning about the land and completing Wuk Lamat's trials. Second half really explodes with a bang. We go from wooden houses to spaceships and a robot invasion. It was pretty cool. Loved this futuristic theme with the later zones and dungeons. And I found this really cool helmet in one of the dungeons, and I want to see if there's a whole matching set I can farm. These days it's pretty rare I care about cosmetics. Every expansion has a secondary city, and I think Dawntrail Solution 9 might just be my favourite one. So futuristic and colourful, it reminds me a lot of Phantasy Star Online. Definitely like the second half of Dawntrail more than the first, but even then I don't think these parts were quite as good as the previous 2 expansions, Shadowbringers and Endwalker.
The audacity!
You might not be aware, but with Dawntrail they've added in a quest in Uldar to get a free Fantasia, which lets you change your race, and I really appreciate this. I race changed from Lalafell, I just got sick of being bullied for playing one, or head patted like a dog. So as usual, 6 new regions. I've got no chance of pronouncing some of these region names. Let's rank them. Urkapocha? When I think of this zone, I just think of alpacas. Second half is a bit more interesting with some verticality and the ruins overlooking the first half of the zone and that pretty amazing mountain and dungeon in the distance. B tier. Kozamauka, a jungle type biome. Again, nothing too unique and new. I like the mountain and all the waterfalls in the distance. Just makes me think of some of those horrible trials I did for Wuk Lamat. B tier. Yaktiel, This one starts out as another jungle biome that transitions into this really awesome magical forest that reminds me of Macalena Woods from Final Fantasy X. Wish the entire zone was like this. Gonna give it A tier. Shalaloni, pretty barren, but I really like the little Wild West little areas. Feels like I'm playing Red Dead Fantasy 14. B+ tier. Heritage found, this reminds me a lot of Northern Thanalan, but instead of Gaulian stuff, it's futuristic purple. I like the ruins of Alexandria and the city of Solution 9 overlooking in the distance, but a pretty miserable and moody zone. B tier. Solution 9, love this place, as said earlier, probably my favourite secondary city in the entire game. S tier. Living memory, pretty great futuristic zone alongside Solution 9. Just a pity that as you go through the zone, you turn everything off, and in endgame you have a pretty dead and sad city. It really felt like they were trying to drag out some emotional story moments, and it just wasn't quite as effective as Endwalker and Shadowbringer storytelling. A tier. And Tuliolai is the primary city, I quite like it. It's quite chirpy and exotic, and I think I definitely prefer it to Endwalker's old Charlian. A tier. Trial fights were all fun, pretty jaw-dropping, just replayed Final Fantasy VI for my monthly Final Fantasy series, so pretty awesome seeing Valagamande as the first trial fight. It's frozen in ice just like at the start of Final Fantasy VI. It's got multiple elements and it changes the battlefields based on the elements. Really cool fight. Loved the almost techno-metal music for the Zoral Jar trial fight. Music reminded me of the Yakuza games.
It's mine, the ultimate power!
Pretty fun fight. I feel like Zoral Jar could have easily gone a bit further and been the final boss and antagonist of Dawntrail. I didn't feel quite as connected with the Queen, but her final fight was still pretty awesome, and it was genuinely awesome getting to experience that final fight with other players who were new to the fight as well. My favourite dungeon would probably have to be Alexandria, just for the cityscape visuals. Looked really awesome. It was just a little frustrating when the bosses would pull you out of the city, and I just wanted to be in that city. It was so awesome. But honestly, I wish it was the real Alexandria from Final Fantasy IX, not this pseudo one. I'm going to run the raid that opens this week, but I'm not currently in an active raiding guild, so I don't really think I can fairly judge the true raiding experience. Rather than applying a score to this expansion, I'm going to rank it alongside the different launch patches. So this is not including all the content patches that come later with each expansion. I'm biased to Realm Reborn at the top for me. Pretty amazing experience and turnaround of the game. I think I enjoyed Dawntrail a little less than Stormblood launch. While we were also following someone around in Stormblood, it definitely has a bit more of an exciting antagonist, and I like the whole Gaulian theme. What do you guys think? Is this better or worse than Stormblood? Overall, I enjoyed my time with Dawntrail's launch. Got my criticisms, mainly with the first half of the story, but I still think Dawntrail was worth my time and money. Maybe I'll report back in the future with how content patches are going. Like I said, huge Final Fantasy XI fan, so the thought of Final Fantasy XI themed raids is really exciting for me. Peace for now.